Y'all know what it is. We back. We are back with a Big Fish Talk. Got a cool little review for y'all today. We're going to take a look into Tristan Tate's interview that he did with Patrick Bet David and the Valuetainment team. Dope interview. If you don't know who Tristan Tate is, he's the younger brother of Andrew Tate. You should know who Andrew Tate is. And Tristan was asked about the Brotherhood and how him and Andrew developed in such a dynamic. And when I say dynamic, they work together as a team. They're a duo. Everything is team oriented. I believe they share the same bank account. They live in the same home. They truly build and grow together. And it then turns into, it's about a 3 to 4 minute video that then leads into how he was taught or learned from other cultures that he grew up around, the importance of family, how to develop this village mentality. And for me, it really hit home because this is something that I've dreamed of, envisioned, and worked and now work for, to develop a compound with my family. Like it was always weird to me where, you know, here we enjoy our family reunions. Every time the family gets together, it's dope. But then after that, it's kind of like, we'll get together soon. We'll get together soon. But then it's out of sight, out of mind. And you don't get to see your family as much. All my cousins are all over the place. All my uncles and aunts, everybody kind of moved, went their separate ways. But and when you do that, you're not able to rely on family, and it stretches you in areas that other cultures are able to come together and grow from. So let's dive into the video. I don't want to keep y'all for too long. Let's dive into that. Let me share this. Let me first put it in theater mode. And let's rock out. Let me change that to, there we go. All right, let's hear him out.
That leads to good praise, or that's good. Yeah, I don't like that. I have no interest in that. Oh, okay, it's pretty. I would have probably done it this way, but I get it. So you have a different optic, right, to see different things. At what point was it when you're coming up and you guys you were talking outside and you're like, hey, we're so competitive that, hey, 6 years ago, the whole prank concept, but we no longer do pranks, all this. We're a big prank family ourselves. When was it, and even maybe from your pops, did that drive you guys to compete against each other, or did that drive you guys to compete against the world? What was his selling point to the two of you?
I don't think it's something that we learned from my father. Okay. My father didn't have a brother or another guy in his life who were close like me and Andrew. I think it's something that happened organically. And it's not so much competition against each other in terms of what I can do and he can. It's more like, how much am I going to contribute to the team that you don't? So a perfect example, this house is set up literally perfect for it. I'll come down in the morning, 7 a.m. Andrew's at his laptop. We'll go there's an exercise we hate doing. You put 30 kilograms on a burpee bar, on a weight bar. You do a burpee, lift it above your head, and you do it 150 times. It's tiring, it's horrible. So I'll do them and I'll say, Andrew, you're a pussy. Why haven't you done them yet? Then he'll do them. And then I'll go do them again, just because. I know if I do them, he has to do them. That's not, people can see it as two men competing against each other, or you can see it as two men within the same house getting stronger and pushing each other to become stronger. When we're racing around racetracks, we're both, I guess, professionally trained drivers. We have lots of track experience, lots of road experience. The fact that he will drive faster than me will inspire me to do better in myself. Then me and my brother as a team are better drivers. It's not two men competing against each other. It's us against the world, but that's something that happened very organically. And he's always been the better kickboxer. I'm bigger maybe I'm probably fatter, but I've certainly got more muscle as well. But people see me smash the pads, and amateurs, like a girl I knew once said, "Oh wow, you hit the pad so hard. Can you beat Andrew in a fight?" I'm like, no. When I try to punch Andrew, I punch nothing. I hit air, and he ends up counterpunching. So he's always been the better kickboxer. But I can take that and be like, you know what? Good. He's the 4-time world champion. Good. That's my brother, and just be proud. It's us against the world.
So that wasn't pops. That was more you guys.
Yeah, it was us. It wasn't my anything my father naturally instilled. I mean, he certainly wouldn't let us fight and argue with each other. He had some unconventional punishments. If we were ever arguing, he'd lock us in a cupboard together to sit there and stare at each other.
He told us that story.
He told you that story.
Just
yeah.
sitting
So there we
and
go.
staring
That
at
way,
each
you,
other
that
for
way,
hours
that way,
on end.
that way, you know it's true.
When you're sitting staring at your brother because you guys were acting up and fighting or whatever, you might want to implement this for Dylan and Tico if you boys see
do
this.
it. It works.
You're staring at each other.
Yeah.
What did you learn about your brother at that point? What do you think he learned about you? Just
I don't want to pause it too much, but this is something like I can't emphasize it enough. And I was super fortunate to have a dad in my brother and I's lives. You know, my parents were together, and to have my dad instill these principles. You do not fight with your brother. You build with your brother. That's the only person that you can always rely on. That's it. So we always had, that's why you see me smiling as I'm going through the video, but it's dope that they were able to develop this because it's not competing against each other. It's pushing each other and understanding that there's going to be different roles that need to be played that may fit in. We may fit into different roles, and it's just on us to maximize our potential in that particular role. So that way, when we put everything together, we're in the best possible position we can be in, rather than thinking that, oh, I have to be better than him at every category. No, these are the things that you're great at. I'm still going to push you at the stuff that I'm great at, and vice versa. But it's perfectly fine to acknowledge that, hey, there's some things that you do better than me. There's some things that I do better than you. So let's make sure that we work within those roles, and, you know, make sure that we're giving our best and demanding our best. So just wanted to leave y'all with that. Now the conversations, pay attention to the conversation, because it's going to transition into a little bit of what I was talking about, where developing some of the ideals that the other cultures instilled in them.
sitting staring for hours on end as a punishment.
I think you just realize that the conflict has no benefit. You're going to end up standing in that cupboard. That's the payoff for your conflict. There's no victory competing against your brother. And you know, we grew up in Luton as a huge Asian diaspora, I guess. Lots of Indians, lots of Pakistanis, lots of Sikhs, lots of Muslims. And these people work as a team. It's one of the reasons they outcompete British people, native British people, on almost every single metric. And we knew a guy named Bali. I hope Andrew hasn't told you this.
No.
So he was a lawyer, probably £50,000 a year. And he drove a $400,000 Ferrari, a £400,000 Ferrari, and a £500,000 Rolls Royce sometimes. And we were saying, like, do you think Bali's a drug dealer? What do you think he's up to? And me and Andrew at the time, you know, had quite a close brotherhood. And he looked at us one day. I said, Bali, how do you have all this money? How do you get these fancy cars when you're just a lawyer? And you're relatively young. He was like 26, 27, about 5 or 6 years older than I was at the time. And Bali's exact answer was, I remember he said, you white people are stupid. Now, I'm mixed race. He wasn't talking anything racial. He was talking about, I guess, native British people. He says, you will have 5 sons, or your father may have 5 sons, which for someone in my culture, he was a Sikh, an Indian Sikh from Punjab. He said, that's a jackpot. And this Englishman's 5 sons will all move out of the family home. They'll pay 5 rents, probably to people like me. They'll take 5 different student debts out, go out 5 different career paths. They'll get 5 different mortgages, marry 5 different women, and never see each other again. You see, my father had 5 sons. Now, I'm a lawyer. My brother's a dentist. My father's an engineer. My other brother owns a construction company. And every single skill set that they needed to flourish was within the household. So we all live in the family home. We pool our resources. Our women work together and prepare food for us. We work, and every time that we have new children or the family is expanded, we just expand the house. My brother owns a construction company, and that way, as a group, we have 3 Toyotas, 1 Ferrari, and 1 Rolls Royce, and we can all use them anytime we like. And that was what introduced me and Andrew, because we were flat broke at the time. We had nothing to share, to the idea of certainly, you know what, if we can buy a supercar together, one nice car, then we can just share that car. And now, thanks to his car addiction, we have, 40 plus, minus the 10 or 11 that have been temporarily seized by the Romanian government. But yeah, it introduced us, I guess, to the concept of pooling your resources and sharing. And you know what? He's 100% right. That is a lesson you can learn from the Indians, from the Pakistanis, because it's benefited us massively.
And you guys live together here in this amazing compound. And Andrew said he foresees himself living with you the rest of his days.
Yeah.
How much of a factor was those stories from the Punjab guys to today living in Romania?
You know what? That was.
All right, so wanted to just, focus on that Obviously, we could have kept going with this interview. It's that good. Let me actually get this off the screen. But just to show us how a lot of the things that we just adopt and accept and embrace, it's not necessarily conducive to us becoming as successful as we want to. We grow up with such a selfish mentality, and it's embraced by so many different people that we don't even realize that it's selfish. We look at other cultures and we'll joke and laugh at them, tease them. You know, you walk into, maybe a building and you see like 10 pairs of shoes outside, and it's like, a bunch of people are living in that household. But this is where, especially a lot of people that come to America, that immigrate over here, have a different mindset, and it allows them to come into the game late and be winning very early because they pull everything together. We don't even pull with our brothers and sisters. We won't even live with our parents. Matter of fact, a lot of us, as soon as we graduate college, we want to get as far away from our parents as possible. We want to get as far away from our family as possible. And that mindset is what keeps us behind, because we're never able to get ahead. We're always living check to check. We're always, I just have to pay this bill, because we're doing it all on our own. We don't even have time to save up to maybe make an investment here, make an investment there, to put a large amount of money here so we can start this business and then let that business feed into so we can start another business. We don't think like that. Everything we do is individually based, and we say just follow our purpose, or just follow our passion. Whatever you're passionate about, whatever you want to do, that's what you do, rather than the purpose, a purpose-based approach with family as the foundation. So if we have a purpose-based approach with family being the foundation, we will always see things together as a team, and we'll just be able to leverage a lot more as a team. We'll be able to have more support, a stronger foundation. So therefore, when we're pooling all our money and going into the bank, maybe trying to get a loan, or maybe we won't even need a loan. Or maybe now we're able to pool a certain amount of money and buy real estate where we have X amount, but of course we can go in and buy it for 5 times the amount. We can buy that whole building, and then maybe we can move in the building. So all these different mindsets, it helps with saving money, with cooking, with food. It helps with, you don't have to have 5 different babysitters. You can rely on the family to come together. You don't need both parents necessarily working, because things are less expensive. And there's more of an emphasis around that village mentality that a lot of us like to talk about. We like to say, it takes a village, but none of us are actually applying that into our real lives. So I like to think that on the surface, we understand that this approach would be better. I think that a lot of us just don't see it as an option, or a lot of us don't even want to consider it as an option, but it's something that other cultures are doing. And I know, and it's so funny, like I speak to, a lot of my friends and family, and I'm a sports guy. So I always look at, like, if I'm on a team and I see another team doing things better, I'm going to look at them to see what I can learn from them. I'm going to look at the losers to see what I can learn from them, make sure I'm not doing certain things. So I'm always looking at other cultures, where a lot of times I realize that when sometimes you speak to your friends and family, they don't want to hear about, because they don't want to change, right? They don't want to get out of their comfort zone. They want to think the way they want to think, and they want to rationalize everything based on proving what they think is correct and the right approach. So therefore, they're not open to even considering how other cultures are winning, how other cultures just move over here with nothing, and then out of nowhere, they're doing better than all of us. And we have to we don't have to do anything. But this is what I'm doing. This is always been, every single birthday wish that I've ever had has been the same thing. And I don't mind sharing it with y'all, because I don't buy into the concept of keeping it in is going to make it happen. I actually subscribe to the opposite. Put it out there and stand on it. Be courageous enough to put it out there, and even more disciplined and focused enough and consistent enough to stand on it and see it through. Every single birthday wish I've ever had is to have a compound, an amazing compound, living in purposeful abundance. Now, of course, I wasn't using these words when I was younger, but when I was younger, it was just, I want to have a big place to live where the entire family can live and work and be together, work together as a family. That's always been it. It's just been it. I never understood, why does Nan live in the next town? Why does Nan and Pop live in the next town? Why does Grandma and Granddad, live on the well, they was living in the Bronx, then they were living in Montclair, but like, why do they live on the other side of town? Why can't we both live in the same home, the same compound, create our own village within whatever town or community that we live in? So I never understood these things, but I realized that our lack of tradition, our lack of family, our lack of family is what convinces us that none of this can happen. We always hear people saying, oh, you don't do business with family. That is the dumbest thing. Like, and then you look at the most successful people in the world running stuff, and they're all family businesses, right? The Tishes, the Maras. I'm just thinking of some of the sports teams, the Rockefellers, like the Kennedy. All these people, they're doing business together. Trump, what he was able to accomplish. All these people, they're telling us don't do business with a family. Your family is a business. And if we see it as that, then we can adjust accordingly. Of course, we're going to have certain arguments, but with a family, there should be more purpose based around it. But that has to come from when kids are growing up, to establish that purpose, to establish that tradition and that commitment and bond within the family. So that way, when we grow older, the actions are justified. These sacrifices, because there's going to be pros and cons, right? There's some pros to, moving away, maybe not in the same house as your parents, not in the same house as your brother. There's a lot of pros to that, maybe. But when we understand and we've created those bonds, the sacrifice makes sense. That sacrifice, that's an investment, makes sense because the return is going to be so great. So I got to run. Didn't want to stay on here too long. Just wanted to give y'all something to think about. This is something that we can, elaborate on more later on, but something that we may need to consider, because a lot of us are struggling, living check to check, not living in this purposeful abundance that we always talk about. And you can have it. But where we sell ourselves short and then end up being discouraged is because we feel that we have to do it alone. So, and it's going to take time to kind of break, to deprogram ourselves with how we thought success looked like from an individual standpoint, a selfish standpoint, and then move towards a more selfless, family-oriented, family-first approach, because it's going to allow us to live the lives that we want to live. It's going to allow us to take care of our parents, our elders in our family in the best way. It's going to allow them to live longer, more healthier lives, because they have a purpose, because they can take care of the younger kids. You have that village mentality to where everybody's contributing and helping, and everybody has a particular role that other people are relying on. So it gives you that initiative to keep going on, and it gives you that purpose. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Make sure that y'all like the video or dislike it. But if you do dislike it, you got one rule. Make sure that you write a comment exactly why you disliked it. Maybe put me on something. Maybe I'm off on something and maybe I'm missing something. Always open to the possibility that I may be off in something or could have a better approach. So appreciate y'all being here. Y'all know what we do. Strength and honor. Get to the bag. Onward and upwards. See, I'm getting to it. I got to run. Strength and honor. Onward and upward. Get to the bag with integrity, of course. All right. I'll see y'all soon. Ew.